When it comes to planted tanks, there are tons of easy-to-grow plants available that will thrive in a low-tech aquarium given just low lighting and an all-in-one fertilizer. However, certain plants can be a little more difficult to grow underwater and may require high lighting and extra carbon dioxide beyond what is naturally provided in the air. For this reason, adding pressurized CO2 to the aquarium can be a great tool to level up plant growth. Keep watching to find out if adding CO2 is right for your aquarium or not. All aquatic plants need CO2 as one of their basic building blocks to survive and grow. Fortunately, there is already CO2 naturally present in the water in our aquariums from the air exchange and fish respiration. In most cases, though, it's a very small amount, but acceptable for many types of aquatic plants. A well-balanced, low-tech aquarium has just a small amount of naturally dissolved CO2, low fertilizer levels, and low lighting. This can result in a beautiful planted tank without the need for very much maintenance. But it has the downside of being rather slow growing. Generally, some types of plants that thrive in these setups are low light-loving plants like Cryptocorynes, Anubias, mosses, ferns like Java fern or Bulbitis. On the other hand, using injected CO2 can be a great way to boost plant growth if you don't want to wait that long. Even for those easy, low-tech plants, providing even a little bit of extra CO2 can make a noticeable difference in growth speed. But especially for plants like Scarlet Temple, Ammonia gracilis, Rotala species, Micranthemum Monte Carlo, and Hydrocotyle Japan, adding CO2 plus more lighting and fertilizer can really allow those plants to take on their brightest coloration and grow to their fullest potential. For many other types of plants, though, CO2 is less of an option and more of a necessity for proper growth. For example, dwarf hairgrass, dwarf baby tears, and other similar carpeting plants need the additional CO2 to completely fill out and create that lush effect. Without it, they may suffer slightly and take a very long time to fill out if they can at all. The reason certain plants require more CO2 than others may be due to the fact that they originate from areas like streams and rivers that are naturally rich in CO2. For an aquarium, more CO2, however, also means that the level of light and fertilizer should also be increased in order to keep the aquarium well balanced. All three elements combined will result in a much faster growing planted tank, but will require much more maintenance with trimming and keeping up a consistent fertilizing schedule. When it comes to algae, it's a common belief that CO2 automatically fixes the problem, but this is not true. A healthy planted tank must have three components in balance: lighting, fertilizer, and carbon dioxide. CO2 is just one of the primary nutrients that plants need to grow. Many beginners use too much light and fertilizer, so adding CO2 can help balance the aquarium. However, if a tank has high lighting and CO2 injection, but, for example, too little fertilizer, then algae will still appear because of the imbalance. So if you do want to add CO2 to an aquarium or set up a new high-tech tank, the most consistent and easy method to use is a pressurized CO2 system. Head to your local welding, brewing, or gas store and pick up a pressurized cylinder to get started. These can be costly up front, but refills are usually much cheaper, and all you have to do is bring back the empty cylinder and exchange it for a full one. If you are running a high-tech planted aquarium injected with high amounts of CO2, people recommend getting the largest size possible so you will not have to refill the cylinder as frequently. However, for the average aquarist, a 2.5 to 5 pound cylinder can be used for 20-gallon aquariums or smaller, a 5-pound cylinder for 25 to 40-gallon aquariums, and a 10-pound cylinder for 55-gallon aquariums or larger. And if you plan on using one regulator with 5 or 6 aquariums, the CO2 cylinder size will need to be scaled accordingly. Along with the gas cylinder, a regulator will be needed to slow the release of gas to be able to diffuse it into the aquarium. There are many different types of CO2 regulators available with all different features to suit the needs of your tank. The Aquariumcoop regulator is a good choice and pretty easy to get set up. It has 2 gauges indicating pressure and gas level, so this is a 2-stage regulator. Other regulators on the market may appear smaller with only 1 gauge. Those are called single-stage regulators. A single-stage regulator reduces the cylinder's gas pressure in 1 step, whereas a 2-stage regulator reduces the pressure in 2 steps, resulting in a more stable and reliable flow of CO2. A 2-stage regulator also helps prevent end-of-tank dumps, in which a nearly empty CO2 cylinder may dump out the rest of its gas in one go. Airline tubing is needed to allow the gas to flow from the regulator to a diffuser in the aquarium. Many different types will work. Aquariumcoop Airline is a black, flexible tubing made from food-grade PVC, and we have used it on all of our aquariums and have not detected any perceptible loss of CO2. Special CO2 tubing is available, but comes with the downsides of being more expensive and much more rigid. Last, a diffuser inside the aquarium will break up the gas into tiny bubbles to allow plants to absorb the CO2. Any CO2 diffuser intended for aquariums that can operate at approximately 40 to 50 psi should be fine. The key is to place your diffuser as low as possible in the aquarium. When the bubbles are released from the diffuser, they imperceptibly get smaller and smaller as they rise, and the CO2 gas is being absorbed into the water. We recommend tuning the regulator to approximately 1 bubble per second because we would rather start with a lighter amount of CO2 to keep the fish safe. That being said, CO2 dosing amounts are different for every tank, and the bubble rate is not a perfect form of measurement since each aquarium has different plant and fish stocking needs. To see the results takes time as the CO2 is slowly absorbed by the plants, but in a few weeks the difference should be noticeable. To know exactly how much CO2 is dissolved in the water, many aquarists use a device that sits in the aquarium called a drop checker with indicator solution. The color of the solution changes based on the level of CO2 in the water. A test kit can also be used and works in a similar way, but is a one-time visual read. As far as a dosing schedule, plants only photosynthesize when there is light available and don't need CO2 at night, so we want to shut off the CO2 regulator when the aquarium light is off. This is done using a timer with a solenoid on the regulator. Simply set it to come on during the day and off at night at your desired times. For more optimized CO2 usage, program the regulator's timer to turn on 1 to 2 hours before the light comes on and turn off 1 hour before the light shuts off. And when it comes to CO2 and your fish, the reality is that too much CO2 can be harmful to fish health, but taking a slow approach is ideal. Keep an eye on your aquarium after adding CO2 or setting up a new tank. Too much too quickly can cause oxygen levels to drop, which can cause your fish to struggle and gasp for air. Using an air stone is a good way to increase oxygen levels as CO2 levels rise. This can result in a slight loss of CO2, but in most cases it will be very minimal and there will still be plenty for the plants to absorb. To protect the health of the fish, this is definitely worth it. To learn more about CO2 and how to set it up, check out our other helpful videos.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. To watch another one just like this, click here.